There we go. All right. Hello, 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 and welcome to Shared Space with Laquita and Chad. We got Mr. Victor Ferguson on the mic today. But before we introduce our special guest, I am Laquita Chansey. I'm the founder and director of Baltimore Homes, and we build micro shelters and tiny homes for folks who are unhoused. But we also build community, and this is one of those spaces. Virtually, we are sharing this space. Chapo, my brother from another mother, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Good evening. My name is Chap, full-time volunteer chaplain for Baltimore City through the police department. And here we are, Monday, 2023, starting the year off right. Quita and I had the privilege to speak with Michael Haney on Wake Up Baltimore this morning, which was a privilege and a pleasure. What a
Definitely.
great morning show. Yeah, if you guys don't know, 7:30 every
It's
Monday.
early, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's a great show, man. It's a great pick me up. He's on point, all things positive in Baltimore, and magically, imagine this: he finds something positive to talk about in Baltimore every week. Wow, like go
Baltimore's
figure, right?
beautiful. That's not hard. Don't do that, Chad. Don't
So
play with
yeah, no, yeah. So he has a great show, great program. It was great to be part of that this morning. Very encouraging. Took lots of notes, learned a lot of cool stuff. A lot of your girl Cheryl had a lot of fun stuff to
Right.
do
The
this week.
BMA is having some free stuff this month. I need to get over there for that because
Hmm.
I'm not paying to go to see stuff that y'all I feel like y'all stole from somewhere. But that's besides the point. We're not
Let
going
me
to talk about
find
that
Yeah,
out.
today.
Let
let
me
me let
find
me
out.
let me pitch one thing, guys. If you have a nonprofit and you are mentoring youth in Baltimore City, please
Hmm.
reach out to me. If you don't have my number, it's 443-653-7724. We have the privilege to partner with BSO and get some concert tickets for free for youth mentorship programs. So
We love
thank
that.
yeah. So they gave us a little taste of that during December, and they said they'd like to continue the process. They were encouraged by what they saw and bringing students to concerts into an environment they wouldn't normally be on their radar or have access to. So we have access to that. So please reach out.
I love that. I love that. And so
Mm-hmm.
now, Mr. Ferguson, who I've
All right.
met many, many times over, I met you at what was it? Natasha's launching for Be Her
That
Solution.
was the initial place. Yep. And then the
Nola
walk with
knew
the doc.
you. Nick and I knew you. Walk with
Yeah.
the doc. You came out to
Uh-huh.
Project Help Communities. You came
Hmm.
to the expo. So please, sir, introduce yourself.
Why not? All right. My name's Victor Ferguson. I came from Augusta, Georgia, went to Atlanta, came from Atlanta up to the DMV area and landed in Baltimore. So it's a pleasure to be here. I've been here for about like 4 years. That's about the same amount of time I've had my organization, Optimal Wellness Community. What it is, it's an organization that really helps to develop critical thinking and to build community synergy around making healthy decisions. So we do that by training people in what's called the 8 pillars of wellness, which is mental, emotional, nutritional, spiritual, physical, occupational, social, economical. Am I a
Mm,
master on all these? No, but I do have some tools, and I can, help you kind of examine the way you're kind of experiencing that. But
right.
we do a lot of things through dialogue and work with a lot of churches, different businesses, nonprofits as well, and just communities in general. So, if you'd like to
Yes.
link, I'm all about it. You can check out my IG, Optimal Wellness com. But yeah, so it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I love that. I love all of that because, like I said, I met you a bunch of times
Hmm.
because, like, we kept passing, and finally, I'm like, I know you from that one place and that other place, and we just met, and now I keep seeing you all the time. So I love that synergy. And then, real quick, you mentioned you went to school in Atlanta. He's a Morehouse grad. I'm a Spelman grad,
Hey,
so Spell House love, y'all
Bell
know.
House.
Look, this is how we get down in the town. All right, y'all. We love Morganites too. Y'all are cool, but Spell House is something different and we special. Okay? Boop.
Facts.
Yes. Yes.
Tribe, tribal
All,
life, believe that.
all of that. So this is the HBCU homecoming series. We're trying to hold it down all of January through MLK through Black History Month. So if you know some other HBCU grads that are doing dope things in the community in Baltimore, let us know. But Victor, like, let me understand how you went from Atlanta to Baltimore because you're not from here. You're not like coming back home like I was. Where are you from?
No, I'm from Augusta. From Augusta, like I said, went to school in Atlanta. Then I got into a grad school program in DC at Howard. So I was in that DC area for a second. Yep. So I was doing occupational therapy. Then, my last field work in occupational therapy was in Catonsville. So I came up here, and that's where,
I
you
love
know,
that. My sister went to Howard. But she's much younger
no.
than us. She's a baby. So that's dope. So another HBCU. So
Hmm.
continually to support the HBCUs. So that's dope. So now that you're
Absolutely.
here in Baltimore, do you still do your program in Catonsville or are you all about Baltimore City now?
No, I'm all about Baltimore City now, the city.
I love that because you're in a design school and you're a couple of other places. Is that
Yeah, I've worked with design school, so I'm not
okay?
actually with them at the moment right now. But we've
Okay.
done some work probably like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I'm actually looking to get into some more schools because right now I'm closing some things with a couple of schools and also Greenmont West and some other places. But yeah, it's always yeah. I'm
Right. You
growing.
see Chap
Mm,
Clap and Greenmount West. That's our hood. That's our. I
they
mean,
do
like
everything, man.
Don't
yes,
They
they?
are
Aren't they
all about
awesome? Such
everything.
good people.
they had a whole
Miss
week
Miss
of like
Keisha.
wellness stuff. I thought that was so dope.
Mm-hmm.
So dope. So tell us about your programming. What is it that you have going on now? I know you popped past our weekly wellness walk, which is on a break for a little while, y'all, because it's too cold
Hmm.
outside. Like we're not
Right.
playing these games.
Mm.
But what type of programming can you offer folks? Are you still doing something at Our Time Kitchen?
No, I was doing stuff at the Nomu Nomu.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So I'm kind of ready for them to reboot because they kind of shut everything down the end of the year. And
Right.
now it's like, okay, waiting for
That's
that
common
reboot.
in Baltimore. Like you might not see people again till February.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of getting the sense of, and it's all right. I'm just kind of rolling with it.
Right, right. You
But
gotta learn to take these breaks when the rest of the world
so,
is taking the breaks. Like be like water and flow with it. So with
it's the
your
flow.
programming, are you targeting kids, adults? What is it that you're doing
So
today?
so I with the model that I have, it can really benefit some of everybody. So I've kind of been going with what works. So right now, what works is really the youth, and I think that's an important place to start because, the children are the future. It's not just a
Absolutely.
saying.
Right.
Um, and I feel like if they can kind of get these 8 pillars down, they're kind of able to more so calibrate their lives and be like, okay, something's off. So maybe it's a social, maybe it's a mental. Okay, let me think about my mind different, emotional. Okay, let me get things. Let me go through use these tools to gain balance within these 8 pillars.
I love
So,
that.
so,
Can you
so,
give
so I
us the
work
eight
with
pillars again?
mental, emotional, nutritional, spiritual, physical, occupational, social, and economical.
That covers all the ecosystem. Like you cover
Yep.
that and your whole ecosystem is like top notch.
There's
Like
no reason for you to be out of balance if you have all those kind of in check.
right,
For
right. I
real.
mean, and then like let's be honest, it's easy to get out of balance, but
It's
to your
easy.
point, like just check in. Just check in.
Just
Chat
check in.
came off mute. What you trying to say?
Name it,
Yeah,
attain
no,
it.
I want to acknowledge the spiritual side, right? A
Hmm.
lot of times, if people don't have a specific religion or they choose not to believe in a conventional God, then they're starving their spiritual nature, which needs to be attended to as much as our physical and emotional and mental. So I appreciate that, and I just wanted to comment on that. Like, one of the reasons I serve as a volunteer chaplain in the community through the police department is because when we have trauma in the community, if it's medical, an ambulance shows up. If it's structural or infrastructure, the fire department shows up. If it's legal, the police show up, right? But like,
That
there's no real
employee.
first responder for a spiritual need. So it's
Nah,
important
it's
for me
not.
to hear that articulated, because that's the reason that I'm a chaplain, is that the community has a spiritual first responder or someone to reach out to, just like
Hmm.
those other institutions. So I think it's
Absolutely.
very important. And being my faith being Christian, yet I don't have necessarily a home church. And I'm a respecter of all faith because I understand that, we may not agree on the same doctrines, but you need to find something to feed your spiritual nature because it's
That's
part
it.
of being human. It's part of
Exactly.
wholeness, right?
Yeah.
Exactly right. And I believe that, I've have every reason to believe We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and however you connect with that, whether it be through meditation or chanting or doing some kind of spiritual practice to enhance that faith, you're going to be the better off for it. And I mean, you can't operate and do things in a magnitude if you don't have faith that you're going to be able to do it.
Right.
You
No,
know.
and
Right.
I think
That
I
matters.
think I think we were talking at Quita's health expo. I had mentioned just little things you can think about, right, for people who maybe don't understand or want to accept or acknowledge that part of themselves is this like if I told you to be silent, but think of the word stop and say it in your head.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
say the word in your head, you hear the word,
Hmm.
but your voice, you're not using your body to say the word, but you can hear yourself saying it, right? And then
Right.
there's no physical vibrations for your ears to pick up, but you can hear yourself saying it, right? So if you can speak and hear within yourself beyond, your physical body, then that speaks to your spiritual side that you maybe aren't aware of as aware of as you could be.
Right.
Right.
I'll
Absolutely.
add to that, chap. Like, real simply, because like you said, a lot of people or some people don't recognize like that spiritual being. And I'm like, okay, well, what about energy? Like, I know you feel energy. If somebody's looking at you, just looking at you, you can feel someone looking at you, but there's no
Hmm.
Mm.
anything in between us. They're not pushing the air towards you. They're not,
Right.
but you feel that energy. And so I explain it sometimes that way because people understand that. Like, you've been in a situation where you're like, hold up, I know somebody's looking at me. So
Hmm.
Or you roll up, somebody rolls up on you, and you're like, nope.
right, like
Nope.
your
Right.
energy is weird,
Nope.
bro. Your energy is weird. I'm
Mm.
out. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go. But it's important. It's so important to one, and this is with all the pillars is it's all about awareness first. So if you're not even aware that you have
Yeah,
a spiritual self, then you have to become that first. And I said a phrase that I'd like to use a lot, which is name entertainment. But before Chap got into talking, but it's like if you hadn't named it and put your finger on it, it's hard to address it. So when
Mm.
you're able to really like sense it, understand it, then now, okay, what can I do to improve it? You
yeah.
know,
I say
so,
that all the
so,
time. Like, if you
mm-hmm,
are able to call a thing and put
mm-hmm,
words to it, you're less frustrated. You
yep,
feel like you are articulating. You feel not complete, but it's a whole thought, right? Like, you're able
mm-hmm,
to communicate with somebody and tell them, these are my feelings and my emotions, but let me explain it to you without just saying I'm happy, sad, or angry.
Mm.
right. What's interesting is they did a study, and they said you experience an emotion like 20% less after you name it.
Mm,
Isn't that interesting? So if I'm upset and I'm like, I'm angry right now, hmm, okay, not as angry, but because
that
you
is
actually
such
identify
a
it,
good point.
isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Yes, because I'm the opposite. I'm like, I'm gonna get over this. I'm not upset. I'm gonna
No,
get
you
over
can't
it.
deny it.
But I'm lying to
You
myself.
gotta
Whole
accept it.
lie. It's
You
a
have to
whole
accept
lie,
it.
bro.
It's a,
I
it's
am
a whole lie.
angry.
Yep, I'm angry right now.
Right.
This person made me mad. I'm
Yeah.
upset, but it's okay. It's okay that I'm
Right.
upset. Like, and you just
Yeah.
gotta be with those emotions. That's
That totally makes sense. Go ahead, Chap. You look like you want to jump in.
No, I'm loving the conversation, man, because a lot of what I do, and on a chaplain level, I guess, or mentoring the younger guys in that space is just that, just validating your feelings and saying them out loud and encouraging you and helping you give yourself permission to feel angry, feel sad, even if it doesn't make sense or it seems unreasonable.
right.
Right.
Just giving yourself permission to be unreasonably emotional and feel
Yeah,
a certain way because
Right.
like it's okay. It's like that's how you feel,
it's
Right.
right?
okay.
Right.
So yeah,
Hmm.
no, that's
Sometimes my
interesting.
thing is
I
asking
like that.
myself, like, where did this start? Like, you
That's
just stepped
next
on
step.
my foot, but
That's next step.
I've been stepped on before and I didn't respond like this. Like,
Right.
what happened before that? Oh, I got that phone call. And what happened before that? I woke up late. Like, this whole day
Right.
has just basically been a show, and it's coming outwardly to everybody else. So
Yeah.
recognizing that, oh, I'm the problem. I'm Miss Grumpy. Let me stop being the Grinch, really feel these feelings, identify what's
Hmm.
going on, and move forward. So I know that's one of the things
So
that you work on, Victor, like helping
yeah.
people get to that point. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I mean, I was going to piggyback off what you said about that's a big part of the emotional continuum, the emotional wellness continuum is
Hmm.
you becoming aware of it, then you being like, where is this coming from?
Right.
You know, and then you kind of as you dig deeper, you realize you start to find out more things about yourself through investigation to be like, oh, okay, why did this make me upset because of
Right.
X and X? Or let me think back. Oh man, that happened a long time ago.
Right. Like,
And
what
I'm
just triggered me?
right, and I made it mean this. So how do I, let me be able to kind of become at peace with that to
Yeah.
where it's no longer bothering me to the extent that it is.
Right.
Um, because once again, name entertainment. If you're not aware that something is bothering you, you're having automatic reactions to something. You
Right.
can, you can burn something up before you become conscious again, and be
Right.
like, "Damn, kill my
Right.
friend."
Right. Right.
Whoops.
I mean, but it's like that reactionary. Like, just
That
take a minute.
reactionary.
Take a beat. Take a
Take a
beat.
minute. Yeah.
Think
And
about
So
it.
so so this organization that where I've received a lot of my emotional intelligence training is called 6 Seconds, right? And they call it 6 seconds because it takes 6 seconds for a physiological reaction to happen in your body with the certain chemicals uh, when you receive like a strong emotion, right?
Okay.
Anything else past that 6 seconds is your mind clinging onto it.
Oh,
Oh,
that
you
is
know, so
crazy.
so
My
so so
mind
so
is crazy.
yeah, so when something happens, it's always good to take 3 second breath in, 3 seconds out.
Hmm. At,
Hmm.
yes, because
Okay.
if you can't breathe, you can't live.
You can't live, and it's all about. And this is one of the universal things that I always talk about. Is like everything's always in a state of motion. Whenever you
Yeah.
kind of stop that motion and that intensity is going on there, that's when things start to mess up and
Yeah.
dysfunction. If you're
And that's
not flowing, dysfunction happens.
no. I'm glad you said breathe, right? Because I'm sitting here thinking, and like, if we're uninformed, right, our emotions can be complex, and things can be overwhelming, and then your anxiety or your emotions can make things more complex and more just more right extra.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
so like a lot of what we're talking about may seem cryptic to someone who is completely uninformed, right? So like
Right.
I was going to ask you, like, where does someone begin with all this like emotional intelligence you're talking about? And I think that's the perfect place is to just breathe.
Yeah.
That's a perfect. It's very easy to. Well, it's not very easy because you get to this place where you're not mindful.
Right.
So I think I think the awareness is the first, and then this the state of mindfulness to be able to remember to breathe. But it's like one of
Hmm.
those things. So it's like you know when you get into a practice of every time you think about breathing, breathe deep. And then when
Yeah.
an emotional thing happens, go back to that.
Right.
But it's
Right.
it's a it's a training. Everything is practice. They say practice makes perfect. It doesn't. It's not true. But it does
Hmm.
make things natural.
Right.
you
You're
know,
right.
Well,
Makes it
well,
habitual. Right.
let me say this,
Muscle
right? It
repetition.
depends on how you define perfection because, like, a lot of
Mhm,
times people misunderstand and think perfection means flawless. But
mhm.
in fact, like the root, if we dig deeper into the etymology, the root of the word perfection means complete. So,
Ooh,
yeah.
Mm.
ooh,
So a
ooh.
lot of times, and I'll
Oh,
say that from a
well then.
We
religious
like that.
perspective,
We
right?
like
Oh,
that.
well
So
then.
yeah, yeah, and I say that
Maybe
from
it
a
is perfect
religious
then.
perspective because I learned to argue a lot in church. I got kicked out of about 3 or 4 churches so far in my lifetime,
Oh wow.
and and it's a good thing. But learning that people misinterpret and misrepresent the word in
Mhm.
in the Bible. Telling people that they have to be perfect, flawless. No, like
You
when
have
you
to
see
be
the word
whole.
perfect in these scriptures and in the Quran and different religious texts, understand that it doesn't mean flawless; it means complete, and it
Right.
changes the entire context when you understand that. So, yeah,
That really does. No, words matter. I mean, that goes back to vibration and energy,
Yeah.
and really being able to speak to something as it is wonderful, and being able to speak to yourself as you want to is wonderful.
Right.
Um, Speaking of words, I I found a lot of people mistake um, wellness
Mhm.
for just not being ill, you know, and
Oh,
Not being physically ill, right? Like,
not being physically ill. Well, I mean, not it's not being ill in any kind of context, but
okay.
it's more so making choices that is for the best,
right.
you know, or
Mhm.
making good positive choices, you know, because you cannot make a decision in something, and you're not necessarily well, but
Right.
you're not ill.
Right.
You know, so what's it look like to make decisions for wellness?
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
so then, what does
Mhm.
wellness look like as you were explaining the word?
What does wellness look like? As I'm explaining the word, um, I believe wellness looks like perfection. Ding. No,
The complete
you know,
ecosystem, right?
right. I think it looks like complete. I think it looks like being able to obtain the tools to make you feel whole and feel complete, and maintaining that balance of that is wellness. And I think in order to get to that place, it takes mindfulness and consciousness to be like, let me go get what I don't have.
Right.
Let me work on this.
Right.
And so
Mhm.
you're talking about like intentionality, being intentional.
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's the word.
I'll
That
tell
is
you
the
another
word.
word. Maybe it doesn't fit right now, but one that really blew my mind as I hit my middle age, and living my whole lifestyle a certain way was the word humble. Right, like
Mhm.
my religion I was raised in, or for whatever reason, my interpretation of the word humble meant that you don't have things. Right, to be I equated being poor with being
Mhm.
humble
Mhm.
until
You
I met
studied.
a multimillionaire who was
Uh-huh.
humble, and then I was
Mhm.
like, oh, this is a humble person who has things, and then it changed my perspective,
Right.
Mm.
right? So I think, like, yeah, words have meaning, and being able, just like with your emotional intelligence you're speaking to, and being able to name things, and define them and be intentional with them. Our language as well, we have to define, like, if we're using words and we're just running through life and saying things out our mouth, I think it's important to slow down, like take a breath, and understand the words and define the words as we use them. Because if we're more
Mm.
intentional with our words alone, then that's going to shape a lot of our wellness or how we approach it as well.
Yes, and how we approach life and how we, you know, our
Right.
language definitely helps with that.
Right.
Two things though. I wanted to ask you, what does the word humble mean for you now? Because you said it shifted your definition
Ooh,
of what humble
it
meant. So
did.
what does humble mean for you now?
So
And I,
humble was is for me. It went from like um, not having things to it's a good question, man. Because
Mhm.
I don't know. I'd have like I'm glad you said that because now you put me on the spot. I guess humble now is more of a mentality of if I do have things, or it's okay to have things, that doesn't change how I treat people.
Right.
mm,
It was easy to treat people on my level, where if I didn't have things and I lived a certain way in a certain context, it was easy to relate with people at the same level as me. But
mhm,
as I learned that I could be humble or show humility and start to build wealth and build things for myself and have things for myself, it didn't have to change how I treated people who weren't there yet. But in
Right.
fact, it
mhm,
empowered me to show them how I got there, and maybe that's not the path for them, but show them a path
Right.
to improve their quality of life, but not really treat them any different or condescend or um, be ashamed of those relationships because they didn't have where I was going, or they weren't, they didn't have what I had in that moment. So I guess that would be how I define it now, is that now I can focus on, like we talked about, Quita, and I talked about on the show this morning.
mhm.
It's okay for me to focus on me and growing my wealth and growing myself and investing in myself. It's okay to do that. Like before, it wasn't okay to do that because I felt
Mhm.
like it almost felt wrong to have things, or to be have certain level of things when other people didn't. And I
Mhm.
realized that if I have those things, I can better serve people. So
Right.
that's
Absolutely.
where that thought took me, I guess.
I
Right.
got you. You know what? When you're talking about etymology of words, what kind of struck me of you giving that definition was the word, the letters hum, and that being the same way that the word human starts. And how humane
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
humbleness kind of seem
I'm glad that you made that
related.
point because I think that for me, like becoming humble or like really understanding humble was in recognizing my privilege. Like I
Mm,
kept telling people, oh, if I can start a nonprofit, you can start a nonprofit. Like
right.
completely ignoring the fact that I went to college, I had two
Right.
parents. And no, this doesn't
Mm,
guarantee success, but these things do matter
absolutely.
in the
Absolutely.
context of things, right?
Hmm.
So like being able to learn to meet people where they're at and not assume that they're on my level. Because I don't think that I've ever judged anybody, but I just made assumptions, right? Like, oh
Mm,
well, if I can do it, you can do it. And no, sis, that's not how it works. Like you
right.
can't keep saying that because not everybody is starting from where you're starting, even though I'm one of those people that like, don't give me that bootstraps nonsense because some of us don't even have boots
Facts.
understood that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Hmm.
the humbleness of it all is like in recognizing my privilege and not putting that on or projecting that toward other people.
Hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of words, it's funny. When I first got to Baltimore, I was hanging out at this open mic spot, and this brother passed me, and I was like, "What's up, man?" It's like, "What's up, dummy?" It's like, "Dummy? What?"
Yeah, no, yeah.
He was like, "Oh, you must not be from Baltimore." I was like, "Nah, I'm not."
It is ignorant, but
I was like,
it's how we talk out here. Yup. I love hate
yeah,
it, right?
but I mean, we're talking about the power of words and intentionality, and
Yes.
legit, these folks call each other dummies. Like,
Yeah.
why are you doing that, bro? Why are
Yeah.
you doing that?
Well, hey, look,
Who
let's
did
take it
this
one
to you?
level further, man. It's like
Right.
it's
Right.
like
Who did this to
can
you?
I go there for a second? Like
Go ahead, go ahead, go
it's
ahead.
like
Take
using the
it.
N word, man. Like we
It
perpetuate that
is.
word.
Yeah,
It
that's
Why?
is.
true. That's true.
It is because what is the real meaning of the N word? Like, it's an
Well,
ignorant person. And no, we're not using it like that. But when it comes down
mm-mm.
to it, like, we're always demeaning each other. And why is that the way that we show love? Like,
It
I
is
say it all
strange.
the time. I'm like, don't love me like that. I don't. That's not how that's not my love language.
It is
Don't do me like
strange.
that.
It is strange, but I'm not gonna lie. I still use the word every now and then. And you know what? I find it hard to get out of my vocab. And I've come to this. And whatever, you may be like, call BS, I don't care. It's how I feel. Respect
Hmm.
my feelings.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Your truth is your truth,
uh,
man.
all right. I do believe certain parts of us have ties, and they talk about epigenetics, but have ties to like who we've always been,
Ooh.
like
Yes.
throughout time, through the continuum of time, right?
Yes.
And there was a point in time when a lot of people that lived in East Africa, used to say negus, which is Negus.
Yes.
It, you,
Yep.
you know, and it's I feel like sometimes there is like a comfortability with the
The language.
vibrations of that word,
Yes.
and I think that it has been distorted throughout
Over
history to
time.
mean something negative, but it's
Hmm.
just like the eternal relationship with the vibration of the words is so
Similar
grandiose and,
that,
and,
yeah, it
and
just rolls off the
born.
tongue.
Yeah, and it's like
Familiar.
it's somebody you meet. I mean, somebody you really like and have this extreme exo for. You'd be like, oh, that's
Yes.
my end, and you'd be super
Yes.
like, oh, this is
Yes.
my guy.
Yes. No
You know,
shade, no hate, like
no
all
shade, no
love.
none of
Yes.
it, all love. Like it's like high love with that word.
Yes.
But once again, that there's been such a bamboozlement. What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, it's like the propaganda
Reconfiguration
of it
of
all.
the meaning.
Uh-huh.
Right, exactly. They shot it in propaganda to make it mean something else, and it's like it's so strange because it's like we're so attached to this word that is so associated with negativity now.
Yes,
It's like
it's
we
like
try to
women
get away
calling
from
each
it.
other bees. Like
That was my next
listen.
comment. Yep.
Yeah,
So what I
yeah,
will say
Right.
is
yeah.
that on this show, I try to keep it PG-13, but I curse like a sailor. Like every
Let it be let it be known.
the F word like a comma, y'all. So I'm saying all the foul words. I'm saying all the bad language. I'm
Oh, it's funny.
sorry, but it's all in love. Like if you my B, you my N. I love
Uh-huh.
you, right? Like these are love language words. And
Right.
yes, it's aggressive. And I'm trying to figure out why that's how we express our love, but it's a part of the culture. So
It is a part
I
of the
think that's
culture. I don't. I am be free out of my mouth. I try
yeah.
not to.
most men
Unless
are. Most
unless.
men are. And I appreciate that. Like, those are the
Mhm.
type of men I want around me where you feel like that word, just like chat, those are the type of white people I want around me. You know to keep the N word out your mouth, just like y'all keep the B word out your like
Uh-huh.
respectable. You know what I mean? Like these boundaries are
Absolutely.
Right.
respected. Like we understand each other and we love each other in that way. Yeah.
To all my other white people out in the hood, just because you got the card and you got the pass, don't mean you got to use it.
No, no, it's never. It's
That
never a good
part.
idea.
Yeah.
It's never
Right.
because you're gonna make your black friend look bad because they're like, oh, you let him say that.
Why? But why does he want to say that? Like, why are we knowing like all the propaganda that goes along with it? So I get it. Why do we say it? Okay,
Why?
blah, blah, blah,
Why?
but still,
Why?
all the things, right?
Uh huh.
But back to the emotional intelligence
Yes.
of it all.
Emotional intelligence.
Right. Back to the emotional intelligence of it all. Like if I
Back to the
call you
emotional.
that, it's a term of endearment, and I
Mhm.
don't want to get smacked. So what stopped you from being like, I'm offended by you calling me a dummy? Because that was new to you.
Oh
Maybe
no, I
nothing.
was offended. I mean, I
Yeah.
I let
I
him
was
know
gonna
like
say
what,
it's
like
offensive.
I had to I counted. What did you call me? I was about to say the N word.
Yeah.
Right, right, right.
No, because I
And
can't
what?
look. Because I'm in the high schools, man.
Ninja
So I
what?
volunteer in
Ninja
some of the
huh?
schools, and the kids do that, man. And it's like, why y'all like? I get it. I get it. It's the culture, like but like, stop calling each other dummies. Like, don't do
Please,
that.
Yeah.
please,
Yeah, I
please.
never got into that. I
But
never
then
got
if
into
somebody,
that.
but then at the same time, if somebody's not from Baltimore, I'm gonna jump right in with it. What's up, dummy? And they looking at you like, what? Because they don't get it. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
you have fun with it. But I think, yeah, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
weird Baltimore thing. I'm glad you said that because that's one of my pet peeves. But at the same
Mine
time, if you the only one in the room that's not from Baltimore, I'm gonna throw down with the dummies.
see, and I'm not. I'm not. I'm not going to assimilate. I'm gonna still be looking at y'all like y'all crazy, but
Yeah,
it's
I'm not
all
saying that.
love. If
That's
that's how y'all speak to each other, cool. But can you just not call me? Can you call me Quita or Q?
yeah, yeah.
I would rather not be referred to as dummy.
That's me. It's like, nah, don't call me that. I mean,
Yeah, I would
what's
rather
up,
not.
dummy? Nah.
I'm not even gonna turn around and
I'm your
respond. That's
brother,
like when
not the dummy.
guys are like,
That's
"Hey,
it.
girl," like calling at you down the street. I'm not gonna even turn around and respond. I'm above that. No.
Mm.
So
But your
I have a
name's Quita.
question. I have a question. So when what what led you to this world of like learning how to practice or teach others how to practice emotional intelligence? Like how did you get
Ooh,
there? Right?
ooh.
It's not something you're
So
in high school and you're like, I want to do this.
nah,
Right.
so it was a couple of things. One I grew up with asthma real bad,
Oh.
and
Georgia. All that
yeah,
damn pollen.
yeah,
Hmm.
all that
Paper
pollen.
mills too.
Augusta had the highest pollen count in the nation. Period.
I'm not surprised.
I used to see little puddles of like all yellow. It was the
Yes.
craziest thing, but
Like not attached to anything. Like you see
not attached
tumbleweed,
to
you see
anything.
like dust of pollen. Like what? Like what?
Yes,
Yeah.
completely moving like a ghost. Um,
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
so I grew up with asthma real bad, and every time I would be having an asthma attack, the thing is, you can't breathe. Of course, your lungs constrict. It feels like you're breathing through a straw, um, and the straw is getting tighter if you stress. Oftentimes, if you
Hmm.
stress, it makes it only worse, right?
Yeah.
It creates cortisol in your body, and your body creates inflammation with that cortisol. So I had to stay calm despite my not being able to breathe sometimes. So
Right.
it was like I need to relax. Like whatever's happening inside of me, I have to calm myself. So that was something I always kind of had with me,
Hmm.
growing up and into adulthood. Like I have this kind of extra layer of chill because I had to be mindful of my emotions because my emotions could kill me at one time, right?
Yeah,
Um,
that's crazy.
right. And then I got married to somebody that was pretty not the happiest person. And had a baby and divorced and dealing with the mother of my child.
Yeah.
It was a thing where if I like said something too snappy, or if I
Hmm.
did something she didn't like, I wouldn't talk to my child for like 3 weeks. She just wouldn't pick up the phone. And it brought me to a place where I had to really play like emotional chess and
Yeah.
and not be so reactive,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, because I knew what the consequences could be, and I think
Mhm.
really being able to know the consequences of something really has you go inside, and I realized how much, um, just how much of a superpower that was,
Right.
in just kind of going forward and using it in different contexts,
Right.
and in both sides too, not just talking about anger but also in love,
Hmm.
like sometimes you love somebody or you're feeling somebody and you start getting goofy, or like,
Yes.
oh, I love her, let me, what I'm saying, let me buy this expensive gift
Right.
even though I just met her 2 weeks ago.
Right. Right. Like, take a breather, take a beat.
Right. Take a bit,
Is this what we
reel it
should be
in,
doing?
reel it in. Let
Right.
me do emotions. Okay, and then you take this emotion, you gain control of it, and you understand where it's coming from, and now you apply logic to how you're going to respond instead of react.
Right.
So
Right.
so that is
Yeah.
that is the real place, is being able to respond through the scope of logic and not just out of um, emotional stimuli. Boom. That's
Yeah.
stimuli.
You know what else is crazy? Like, mentally,
Hmm.
when you're able to control your emotions, or
Hmm.
able to control like your anger specifically in these cases,
Hmm.
and you're like competing with somebody, like trying to win an argument or something, as long as you stay calm, you appear to be the person that's winning. Even if like they're rah 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 loud, if you remain calm, like, you just outward appearance, they look crazy. And
Hmm.
also your calmness is fueling their aggravation. So just know, like, I use it
Absolutely.
as a petty technique, and it works in our places, in corporate America, and in these streets. I'm gonna
The
let you know
petty
that
technique. Watch out for the petty technique.
it's a petty technique. Like, are you okay? Why are you yelling? Like, what? Oh dear, do you need water?
God bless
Like,
your heart. God
yes,
bless your soul.
yes, bless us
I'm gonna put
all.
you in a chokehold next time you do that to me. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. you know what's happening
Rah,
now.
rah, rah. Like,
You okay, Chap?
Right.
listen, like, the petty techniques. Look, don't. I haven't even been to the Agoji to get in the ring yet. Like,
Hey, look. Oh wait. Oh,
let
wait.
me
Wait.
get
Okay.
my
Yeah.
skills up a
What's
little
up?
bit before you do anything.
Please do.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so with your optimal wellness community, do you
Mhm.
have any workshops or anything going on or coming up? Because I know in the past you've done a series of workshops, right?
Yep. 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 Man, I feel like I should have had something planned before I came on the
Well,
show.
if
But
that's fine,
I
tell me about your
don't.
workshops that you've done
Yes.
in the past, because we got listeners that are like, we need some emotional intelligence and all of this
I'm
goodness. And
saying,
now we're gonna,
we need you to bring it to unlimited potential with Hanif and his kids. We
Okay.
need you to bring it to level up mentorship with Dason and his kids. We
Cool.
need you to bring it to a Gogi project with Coach MJ and the coaches and his kids and the coaches too. Like, um, you know,
Yeah.
we all need that. Especially those mentoring.
Hmm.
We don't have it together as much as people think we do. Like, if you teach us
Absolutely.
this skill, we're learning alongside the kids, and it's kind of the point is that we're learning alongside the kids, so that when they get to the point we are, they're already steps ahead of us, right? So,
right,
I think
you know,
that's the place I really like to be at, where I'm
yeah,
teaching adults and kids, and
right,
yeah,
kids are seeing how adults are learning and asking
right.
questions, and then they're able to kind of model. Okay, this is what it looks like to examine yourself.
So tell
Yeah.
us what that looks like. What have you did, or what do you plan to do? What type of engagement does that look like?
I'm gonna work with all the people that Chap said, and I'm actually gonna I'm actually bring some funding, and I got a plan to bring some funding into to a Goji though, Chap. So
That's great, and
um,
that's what I was going to say too. Is that we're
yeah.
we're always looking for everyone's 501c. Everyone I mentioned, we're all in good standing. So
Hmm.
as well as like I know that people like yourself have all these really great um, concepts and these really great curriculums to offer. And a
Right.
lot of times we offer it for free, but your knowledge, your time, and experience all have value. So it's important for us
Yeah.
nonprofits, not just to do a nonprofit and keep doing stuff out of pocket, but take time and build a plan to get some grant money and get some funding, because then you can bring in people like yourself, like Quita, who are already going to be there. We're already it's all like I said, it's a tribal life, right? We all show up for each other,
Right.
but to be able to compensate each other for our time and our experience and our knowledge,
Hmm.
um, that's really how we support each other. So I
Absolutely.
think it's important just to keep that in mind as we move forward this year. That's one of my goals is to pursue. I can't do it full time. It is a full time job,
You're
but to find a
funded,
way
bro.
to find a way to pursue the funding, because then you're already saying you're coming to the gym. But what a blessing for me to be able to say, oh, while you're here, here's some money. You're now a grant line item on my grant proposal, so that you
Hmm.
can be here and be compensated. Because if you're compensated, then your reach extends further. Now maybe you can get paid while you're in our spaces and take it free to the spaces who don't have the money yet. Like it's all about. That's what it's
Paying
really
it
all about.
forward.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely pay and paid, but now yeah.
Right. Like
I need
we
some
show
stuff,
up
stuff,
because
stuff
we know
pay.
the community needs it. So thank you for that, Victor. Like
Well,
that's so
not a
dope.
problem.
You're not even from Baltimore and you showing up and doing stuff for free.
Can I say
And then showing up
y'all
and
get on my nerves with that, man? Because look, I used to be pro Baltimore, f y'all. You seen the shirt, right? Baltimore versus all y'all.
Yeah,
mm,
yeah, yeah.
mm, all
That's
horse.
my
Go ahead.
jam, right? But like when I looked around this season, at the Giving Black Christmas event and some of the other things we did this season, when I looked around, I saw people from Philly, from West Virginia, from
Mhm.
Atlanta, from New
West
York over
Virginia.
here. Like I
Hmm.
looked around and I really saw people in the community supporting, like neck deep in it with me,
Wow.
with Dason,
Yep.
and it wasn't people from Baltimore. And so I had to, I still have that I still have that mentality, but I've really, in reality, I've really shed it, because as I look around, I see like everyone pitching in for Baltimore, and
Right.
I think, and this is just my perspective. Correct me if I'm wrong, or this is my narrative that I tell anyway, is
Mm-hmm.
that Baltimore is so close to DC, and Baltimore is 70% black, and so like we are setting the bar for the rest of the nation, and if we're not okay, the rest of our people are not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really
Mm,
that's what encourages me when I look around and I see people
mm.
from all over the DMV and even beyond pouring into Baltimore. I used to be like, go take care of your own stuff. Like we can handle this. But really, if we don't handle this here together, then everyone else is not okay across the nation. We're setting the tone, man. So it's really
I
important and valuable, and I appreciate.
agree.
I had a new appreciation this season when I saw that,
That's
and
deep.
really kind of shed my little attitude towards out of towners. Now, there's out of towners that come and just take money and they siphon money, and there is that, but that's not what I saw this season. So I
I'm
respect. I respect.
for sure. I appreciate that, and I'm not to I guess whatever. I guess me talking for me, but
Right.
I say something bad about myself. But I am here to help, and it's genuine and
Right.
it's legit.
Right.
So it's nice.
Right.
It's nice when the guards are down to be able to do things, and to create opportunities and create dope spaces for people to come and grow together. Um, I guess I didn't really answer that question though, Quita, about
You didn't.
about what's it look like going forward and what's going
Right.
on. So I'm going to be working with oh my gosh, No Boundaries Coalition
Oh,
at Unity Hall.
Ian. Ian
Ashia,
and
Ashia, no, Ashia and Kalia.
okay.
Hmm. and
Mm-hmm.
Shalise, and yeah. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
yeah, I'll be working with that whole team. So you can find usually you can probably find some sessions there. Instagram, if you follow my Instagram, Optimal Wellness Com, I have a lot of different events posted there as well.
Perfect. Perfect.
Um, so that'll work. And also, if you email me at Optimal Wellness Community, that's
Mm-hmm.
with an L, Optimal Wellness Community at gmail.com. I can put you on my email list. And the email list, I do at least one newsletter every other month. Nice. Let's go. So
Dope.
yeah, so that works just fine, and I'll keep you guys abreast. But I'll tell you what is super cool that I have that's a part of the organization is I do these things called Wellness Around the Earth retreats.
Mm-hmm.
The acronym's WATER, because we be flowing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
So we're doing one in Costa Rica, and
I
August.
love Costa Rica.
Costa Rica is amazing. August the 21st through the 27th. And it's going to be 2,500 right now, 2,400 if you do it early. But we got
And what is the tour consist of?
so we're gonna do some hiking. We're gonna do some beach trips. We're gonna do some cacao. We're gonna see how chocolate's made and get a chance to check that out. Some of the indigenous people. We're gonna do some other stuff. But we get 2 meals a day. So it gives a little bit of opportunity to explore for one of the meals, or you could just eat 2 meals. That'll be cool too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's kind of just that we're going to have wellness programs. So it's going to be transformative too. So every day we're going to have like a certain session and talk about some things that not too in depth because I mean, we're just not going to make it um, too saturated with just information. It's
Okay.
going to be a lot more experiences than it is just information. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Interactive as well as
That's
informative.
that's
Mhm.
interesting you said that. So some of the ladies from Black Woman Be Whole,
Mhm.
they were talking. I was eavesdropping a little bit, ear hustling when they were over at Greenmount West Community Center because they're always doing great stuff.
Nice. Mhm.
And I was ear hustling, and that's one of the things they talked about. They were talking about when they come through and do their wellness event in May, is that the first day they weren't going to hit hard with, or the entire weekend they weren't going to hit hard with information and seminars. They understood that like the first step to being able to build a capacity to receive the information they had was to just relax, like experience each other, fellowship, eat,
Absolutely.
like just let your guard down and just get to a place where like you could you could kind of get a step away from everything going on and just get to a place where you could really absorb as much of the information as they had, but you couldn't just show up and just jump into seminars. Like there had to be that space and those activities where you could let your guard down, you could
Like
fellowship, you
breaking
could
the
build.
ice is a real thing. Like
Yeah.
you really
Yeah,
gotta
but
break the
but they were
ice.
talking they
I
were
feel
talking
like I
about
want to
like
be vulnerable with these people. I don't know them. Oh
right,
no, I do. So
right.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what they were talking about. Like they
Profound.
wanted to build these genuine relationships with people at the seminar, not just a 15-minute, hey, blah 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 blah, and then keep it moving. But like they wanted to build the type of relationships that after the seminar, and after the wellness event that weekend, like women were connecting, and well, and not exclusively women, but people were connecting
Mhm.
beyond that and building relationships, that would last, and not just relationships in the moment or someone you met there. So it was really interesting you said that. It's really important to make sure that people have time to enjoy and experience each other. Yeah. So I don't know
Absolutely.
what you said. You saying that and kind of took me that back to listening to them as well. So like that's something
Mhm.
that's being articulated in other circles as well, regarding
Right.
emotional wellness.
Yeah, I mean, people, they did a study um, with these areas in the world called blue zones, where people live the longest, right?
Okay.
And one of the commonalities of this blue zones were that like people actually spent time connecting with each other. Um, they made time for that. And I think it's a lot to be said on when you're facilitating spaces to
Yeah.
make sure that people can be brought to a place of bringing their guard down and being vulnerable to be able to really like connect as people and not just as somebody that's just needing help.
Right.
Right.
You know? So like I'm real big on my sessions. It's real big on dialogue. Like you know, if somebody's super chatty, I'll be like, okay, we have a 3-minute time limit so that everybody can share their opinions.
Right. Let the other people speak. Let everybody
Well,
in the room get a chance to
he
express
says
themselves.
that, but every time we've been together, we've actually had some really great conversation. He's never put me on a timer, so and I know that I'm loquacious, so I know you say that, but you're also a good listener, man. So
Right.
I've considered. No, I'm
I'm for it. Look, I know that about myself. I'm okay with that.
no, you're
Right.
fine. You're
Like
fine.
we recognize that's another thing. Like being able to point out your own like flaws or weaknesses, whatever it is, like
Mhm.
that kind of makes people comfortable too. Like I'm quick to say, hey, I got some
Absolutely.
confidence up here, but I am anxious as hell. Like I'm always overthinking, da 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 da. And people are like, what? You're an anxious person? I'm like, yeah, you can't tell. Like, are you anxious too? They're like, hell yeah, I'm anxious. I'm like, high five for the anxious people. Like, let's go. Like, we got this trauma bond now. Let's go ahead and you know what I mean? Like, we don't want to
Right.
remain anxious, but we've identified that we got some similarities. And now,
Mm-hmm.
how do you work through that, right? Like, help
It
us
is a
to build
thing.
up some good practice of resolution.
It is a thing. You know what? Funny you say that because I'm actually building a course right now on like a series, a workshop series on stress and anxiety.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
everybody. Yeah.
yeah. So
Do you need subjects? Do you need some feedback? Like, how do we get involved with this? How does this
Well,
work? Because I
when
know I know a few.
I actually I have my first person that I'm putting through it is coming back in town in a couple of days. So, you know, I'm gonna start off with her and then get the critique, and then from there I'm gonna, you know, go. But yeah,
Mhm.
that's gonna be a thing. So I'll probably do on Instagram. I'll be like, okay, you know, stress workshop, blah blah, from this date to this date, cost this much, blah blah blah. You know, if you want to be a part of it, come.
We are going to tap in. We are going to tap in, y'all. So you know to go to Optimal Wellness Community, or you can send it, or Optimal Wellness Community on Instagram, or
Right.
Optimal Wellness Com at Gmail. If
Or
dot
the
com.
actual website is
Actual website is what?
www.optimalwellnesscom.com.
Com.com. So it's
Yep.
Optimal Wellness Com with 2 M's and then .com with
No. Com with one M. Optimal
okay,
Wellness
both of
Com with one M.com. Yep.
them. Okay,
Yep.
y'all hear that?
com.
There we go.
Boom,
There we
there it
go.
is. If you didn't hear it, you see it. Believe it. It's a
Hello.
thing. Right?
Make it click, make it click.
Bang
So we'll
bang.
have to have you back when you're doing your stress workshops or series and get some feedback on that.
Okay.
We got about a minute. Do you want to say anything to the people before we get out of here, Mr. Ferguson?
I just want to say I am grateful in this 2023 year for my Spelman sister Quita for bringing me on the show, for Chat for being cool, and also let me know about this show. And
Right.
I appreciate y'all's commitment to the community, to the people, and I just looking forward to doing more things with y'all. Yeah.
I like it. I love it. We want some more of it. So we're definitely going to have you back.
Cool.
I'm going to be in PG County for MLK doing a discussion on affordable housing, a housing symposium.
Oh, nice.
Let me see. At the end of the month, we're doing a 3rd annual community conversation for the Black Butterfly. My work is mentioned in that book.
You need security. I got my security T-shirt.
We might need
jiu-jitsu.
security,
I got
Chapo.
you.
We might need security. Chapo, you got anything coming up? Do you want to say your goodbyes?
No, ma'am. Let's make way for the Robert report. I appreciate your time, both of you tonight. Thank you. Thank you both. Yeah, man. Look forward to seeing you guys in the new year.
Thanks for coming out. God bless and good night. We appreciate y'all.
Good night. Peace and love, y'all.
Mondays at 7. We'll be